Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
Oh, I've never seen you this clear before.
Is it better? For real?
No, I'm just joking. But it's funny you're coming in with this clean new haircut. It's a total upgrade. Let's go.
Is the volume the left or the right side?
Your left.
There we go. I noticed, so on Android, there's this bug where I can't hear anything in a live until I touch the volume up or down, even if it's at full blast. But on this one, right when it started, I could hear you. So right. I think we're already off to a good start.
Yeah, that's a weird bug. All right. Well, Josh is coming live from an iPhone tonight.
Let's see. I think we'll know when we get to the YouTube.
Yeah. Let's see how that.
But I'm curious to see if anyone can notice the difference already.
Victory says it's the first time I've seen Josh in HD.
I'm sorry, everybody. You have to see the real me now.
All right. Everybody, welcome to the crossover. Today is Friday, June 7th. And we always start with mail days. Any mail days?
Nope.
None for me either. Christina has a giant pile of Maxi Cleaver cards, but we're going to spare you guys.
Yeah, it's nothing everyone needs to see.
She has some better ones. Some more exciting. She just got like a bunch of dupes of things. And finish off rainbows. All right.
But don't fool the people.
No, there is no neon greens. All right. No neon greens.
She should spend the next hour just going over them, and we just are like,
well, yeah, she could. She could. All right. And
I got a report that there's already a difference in the audio.
Yeah.
And someone's very excited.
All right.
Oh no, George says, can we just go back to the way it used to be? That's good. All right. Thank you, George. Okay, so and what about any card ladder related announcements before we get to the questions today?
No.
Nope. Not at all. All right. So we've got 3 NBA Finals related questions to warm us up. First one comes from Taco Stand 99. How big of a factor was the Bill Walton tribute to the Mavericks' loss? And did they, quote, feel like a stranger last night?
0. None. Absolutely 0.
Yeah. Is that a Grateful Dead reference or something?
Probably.
It must be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but R.I.P. Bill Walton.
It was a good tribute, I thought.
It was. Yeah. It's just like, the tributes are so sad. I do wish once in a while that we would do these tributes while the recipient is alive.
That's a take right there.
That's a take. Yeah.
And then not mention that they died.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when somebody dies, we just sweep that under the rug. No bad feelings.
Yeah.
All right. Up next is from Card EC Sports Cards, who says, please discuss the disrespect for the Boston Celtics in the national media, excluding Bill Simmons, before they crushed the Mavericks. What do you think about that, Josh? Did you sense a disrespect for the Boston Celtics going into the finals?
Well, I checked their net rating. Their net rating in the playoffs is basically the same as the regular season. I think it's like 11.3. And so the narrative was like that they didn't do very well against the Pacers. They didn't blow them out. There were too many close games, which is probably a semi-fair take. But overall, during the playoffs, they're still playing pretty well. And so I think the narrative coming in from the national media was like the Celtics have the better team, but they're going to lose because they don't have the top superstar maybe. But Vegas still is giving them their due. And, I didn't feel that way. I have no dog in this fight, but I felt like it was pretty even, to be honest.
Yeah, I do think that the coverage or so for example, when ESPN had their writers, they had like 17 writers
Mhm.
pick a winner of the series. 9 of them picked the Mavericks, and 8 of them picked the Celtics.
There you
Um, Stephen A. Smith picked the Mavericks. Kendrick Perkins picked the Mavericks. Mavericks fans know that that is very unusual, especially when you're dealing with a team that's a 2-1 dog going into game one, which the Mavericks were. So I do think that while the coverage like tilted even, you had a decent number of people on one side and a decent decent number of people on the other side. I don't think that was a fair representation of how big of a favor the Celtics were. When ESPN pulled the writers, it should have been 12 writers for Boston, 6 for Dallas.
go.
And so I get to thinking, why was the coverage even? Why is Stephen A. Smith picking the Mavericks? He knows how to look up a line. He knows he's picking into a big underdog. And I think the reason why is because there is a current of hatred in the mainstream media for the independent media in sports that comes from Boston. And I'm talking very specifically about Bill Simmons and Dave Portnoy. And I just think that a lot of people in the media savor the opportunity to be on the other side of at least one of those two guys or both.
Yeah, because Bill has been critical of ESPN's like halftime shows, post-game shows. We know Portnoy is critical of everything. So yeah, that's interesting.
So I think that there is a bit of a bias against Boston that's based on negative sentiment towards Boston.
Yeah.
I do think that there's some substance there. But I also think, my final point on this, I think Vegas is wrong in their estimate of the series. Boston did have a plus 11 net rating in the regular season, which was the 4th greatest of all time. But if you look at Dallas' net rating post-deadline, when their new acquisitions were in the starting lineup, they had a 16-1 record, which extrapolates to a 77 win pace, and they had a plus 13.65 net rating. So for the relevant sample, and granted it's a lot smaller for Dallas is just as good as Boston. So that's like the final piece of this pretzel, is that Vegas was indicating to people that Boston should have been a big favorite, and the media should have reflected that, because nobody in the media has made that point that I just made. I haven't heard a single person make it. They don't follow the Mavericks close enough to know that. But the final piece of this is like, actually, it should be even if we're going to look at metrics as being predictive of how teams are going to perform. All right.
Can I respond to the crushed part of that question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't think they're worried about the crushed part of it.
Boston fans will be disappointed to hear that was probably the Mavericks' second best game one of these playoffs.
For the audio listeners, I just showed a screen of OKC winning game one against the Mavs by 22, and the Celtics only won by, I believe it was 18.
I think the Clippers without Kawhi gave them an even worse ass whooping than the Thunder, definitely worse than the Celtics did in game one, when the Mavericks laid 8 points in the second quarter. I thought the Mavericks season was ending very imminently after that game one. Here's an Anthony Edwards stat for you.
Ugh.
Jason Kidd coached teams in the Luka era are 1-7 in game ones. That one is Anthony Edwards. All right, moving on.
He doesn't need to adjust against the Wolves.
I can't think of a more embarrassing loss than to Jason Kidd in a game one. All right. Reeves, and finally we have Reeves 15 PC, who has a 4-word question. Is Tatum a fraud?
Fraud? I don't know. He's probably just about what we expect. Like this is just what he is. I don't know. He's not a fraud.
Definitely not a fraud. I think the pendulum has swung too far to like Porzingis is their best player. Brown is like Porzingis was very good this year. Brown was solid this year, and Brown's had a very good playoffs. Brown has a slightly better player efficiency rating in the playoffs than Tatum, but Jason Tatum is a consistent top 15 level player by the metrics. He is rock solid, and for my money, like over the last 2 years or the last 5 years, he is the best player on that team comfortably.
I think part of that though is that you have people like Bill Simmons who are so hyped on Tatum's
She has to listen to Bill Simmons and just hates it when I put it on.
but like he's so hyped on it that people who listen to him think he's the next coming of like Kobe.
All right.
And then you see him play and you're like, maybe not, Bill. Maybe you should take the chill pill.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts, Josh, to share on the NBA Finals before we move on?
Jaylen Brown had 3 blocks and 3 steals in that game. I think they were all pretty, like I can remember all of them because it was like the strip, fast break, the dunk at the block at the rim. That was the first time in his career he's had 3 steals and 3 blocks. There's a stat.
Yeah, he was really good.
So that was to me those like 6 plays, this 3 steals and 3 blocks that he's never done before in his career were the defining moments of the game.
Yeah. Yep. He was awesome. All right. Next topic that we have up here is the National from Titty Subs. Are people excited for the National? Maybe it's just my circle so far, but it seems meh so far.
You ready for my take on this? So should I fire this off?
Yeah, let's go.
I know you like this one. The more people shit on this National, whether it's like Cleveland, the airports, the hotels, their favorite influencer not going, the more excited I get. Because it just means like the National to me is not about like the frenzy of it and the excitement and the hype and everyone showing up. It's more about just being there. And for me, like if it's not going to be crazy and it's going to be just the people who actually, it's like we're weeding out the people who don't really want to go that much. They just want to go for the hype. If we're going to weed that crew out, it's going to be even better.
Great Zag. Great Zag. The National Zag, exactly. I love that Zag. I think Titty Subs would agree with that too.
Yeah. I think that's what he's like. Why is everyone mad? This is going to be great.
Yeah.
It's getting to AC was worse, wasn't it?
How did we all drove from like New York to AC?
Yeah, because there's no airport, so everyone had to drive into AC no matter where you flew in from.
Yeah.
And getting from our hotel to the National AC was sketch.
Yeah. Yep. It was. Getting anywhere in AC was sketch. All right. Drake's PC says the National is next month, and I'm fired up to attend. However, many notable content creators and people in my group chats have said that they are not going. What?
Let's go.
Do you think location is primarily driving people to go, or something else?
Yeah, it's probably the location. The National where Cleveland is. You guys haven't been to this location, correct?
I've never been to a Cleveland National. Nope.
The convention center itself is my favorite because it's very big and spread out. It's a very like large interior space, and it's kind of like just like a big rectangle, and it's like pretty easy to navigate. The halls are wider than Chicago. So once you're there, it's kind of nice. But yeah, like Cleveland's pretty, it's Cleveland. But it's not like when we're in Chicago, you and we're not like, oh wow, we're in Chicago, this is amazing. We're so focused on getting to the show itself that I'm not sure that really matters.
Yeah. Well, I can't be too mad at Cleveland as a destination just because it's on a big body of water, and that's one of the main perks of locale for me.
I think the airport is like pretty close to the convention center. It is hard to find flights. Like I know a lot of people have to like fly Frontier if they want to do nonstop. There's some of that going on, but it's not like you have to land and then drive 2 hours or something.
Yeah, I saw a few people in the comments said that it's only a 20-minute drive from your hotel downtown to the National, and then you can stay in a nice hotel and you can be downtown and do other stuff too.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the case though, or is it going to be kind of a nightmare, especially leaving there at night?
It's kind of
Like
like
a bunch of people trying to get out.
yeah, it is like AC in that it's a bunch of people all trying to leave at once with like a bunch of random Ubers. So if you can like plan hotel shuttles or like group Ubers, I think that's probably a better bet. Remember what AC when it was just like a line of Ubers, everyone trying to get out of one little area? It's not that bad, but it is similar. You know, like Chicago, people are walking to their hotels. Some people are Ubering, some people are driving. It's different. This is all just kind of like you're there. There's not really anything walkable.
Publius says, if your flight lands safely, then you're good to go.
We're likely to get killed on the way to the airport, says Lloyd Christmas.
That's right. All right. Final question on the National from MD Cup Guy 8. How crazy do you think the National will be this year if both Luka and McDavid win championships?
Those like the two those are the two big hobby guys I'm guessing here. I don't know, man. I just feel like the National is just so big that I don't think it really is affected by any of these events. You know, like it's just gonna happen regardless.
Yep. Yeah, and winning a championship, it doesn't send everybody scurrying to buy cards of those players. It does send there is some increase, but there's usually even more people just trying to sell them.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. The National usually is more so about if we're talking about like active young players, it's about like the quarterback prospects.
Yeah.
You know, like football training camp is well underway. The season is going to kick off in like a month after the National ends, and I think it's going to be about the rookie QBs, don't you?
Yeah, I'm already annoyed at like the Anthony Richardson and like no offense to Brett, but like I'm sure the fans of like the team are excited about Anthony Richardson, but I'm seeing like $15,000 Kaboom Gold sales of him and he's played 4 games. It's like I'm already pre-annoyed at that being the theme of the National. Mahomes is actually up 12% over the last 3 months.
Wow.
Since he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Maybe once you get to 3, the trend starts to turn around.
Back to back. He's going for back to back to back this year.
Yeah. Pre-annoyed that's good.
Yeah.
You ever get annoyed at being pre-annoyed?
I think that's part of it. It's just like
it bundles. All right. Well, I'm sure there'll be more opportunities to talk about the National as it's like a month and a half away now. All right. Now for the rest of the questions. Big topic this week. Cage Lawyer asks, how does Josh feel about game-worn cards?
game-worn cards or jerseys?
He said cards.
I tried to make that story rant about cards versus game-used jerseys, but people took it as like I hate game-used card or game-used jerseys and cards relative to player-worn, and it's like I didn't quite get my point across, which is a bummer. But my point was actually like I don't understand why people would make the claim that if I'm going to pay $3 million for a logo man inside of a card, that I should pay more for the actual jersey. When I think there's like 2 sales ever where a full Jordan jersey is sold for more than that, and it was like his original Olympics jersey, I think was the one big one that people keep talking about. That was my actual point. What did you take from it?
Well, I have the inside track on all of this, so I'm not like a random sampling from the audience, but I obviously understand that to me the distinction between the category known as memorabilia and the category known as sports cards is clear as day. And I think like you punctuated the series of story posts with a clarifying point that I like game worn sports cards too. I have a LeBron limited logos from 2003. That's game worn. Like, just because there's a groundswell of propaganda that just like is really for a few years now has been pushing the idea that game worn uh, memorabilia is just like this superior collectible to trading cards. Like, that doesn't negate the fact that having a piece of a game worn item inside of a trading card is still a cool story that card can tell.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I took from.
It always stems from this, probably for me and probably for you, where I feel like we just keep having different categories try to glob onto ours and like use our popularity as a trading card industry to like say, yeah, that's great, but look over here, this is actually better. If you like X from cards, you're gonna like X plus Y over here. And it's like, oh, you like that there's a little piece of a jersey in the card? I own the whole fucking jersey. And it's like, if you're making comments like that, you're not understanding cards, and I have to now explain that the card's value is mostly derived from the card itself and not just a little piece of jersey. And the little piece of jersey in it is a factor, whether it's game worn, whether it's player worn, whether it's a logo man, whether it's a jersey, whether it's a patch, all these different things are part of it. But to like draw the distinction that, hey, this little piece multiplied by a whole thing hanging in my closet has got to be worth 10x is just incorrect. So that's where I get really upset. Is like, stop trying. And it was like Top Shot, you know, oh, you guys like sports cards? What if we could digitize it for you and make it infinitely scalable? You get it faster. There's no damage. You know, there's no grading. Wouldn't that be even better? And it's like, okay, now I have to explain to you again. That's not the part of cards that make them valuable and popular. Like, you're just making that claim because you're trying to steal our passion for this and translate it over, and it's just not the same. So you know, we have to, it's up to us to explain it.
Perfect rant. You know, something that gets missed, like a fine detail that kind of gets missed here, is like, obviously, like, okay, just zooming into card people now, there's a group of people within card collecting who really strongly prefer to have a game used patch. And when COVID happened and supply chain issues happened, and it was untenable to have a rookie photo shoot or to do events with the players anymore, then the non-associated patch was introduced. And then the people who preferred the game worn, like, got even more energized, because it's like, there's no possible reason in their mind why somebody would prefer a non-associated patch with a patch that is ostensibly game worn. But like, the nuance that's missed, that's gotten overlooked here, is the fact that, like, well, what about event worn? What about that category, the third option? And I'm going to make an argument right now for event worn. I think event worn has a pretty decent novelty to it, because presumably event worn stuff, in particular from the rookie season, comes from the rookie photo shoot, which is an event organized by the card manufacturer to gather together all the rookies. And that's a pretty cool little piece of both sports history and trading card history. Is it clearly the case that if my Christian McCaffrey card has a patch from some random preseason game or from some random week 11, you know, play or something, is that clearly better than a jersey that he put on during taking pictures at the rookie photo shoot? I don't know. Maybe some people would say that it is. I'm here to say maybe the gap isn't that big. Maybe there's something kind of cool about rookie photo shoot. What do you think about memorabilia that comes from the rookie photo shoot as opposed to coming from a game?
I'm with you. I like to know. I do kind of like the ones where it's like, I have a couple of LeBrons where on the back it'll say like, this came from the All-Star game in his like rookie sophomore game. I think one of them says something like that, which to me is similar to the event worn, where it's like, this isn't a real game, but at least I know exactly what it came from. It's documented. I can kind of like piece together maybe like parts of the patch that I could see from the photo of that. Whereas, like you said, if it's a game worn, you don't even know which game it is. You're just sort of like hoping that it's from a game that you care about or whatever. But to me, they're similar-ish, you know. Like I get that. That's definitely better than like, we pulled this from a Dick's Sporting Goods. I understand the distinction. I would definitely lump the event worn more towards the game worn than the other way. But
yeah. So Perimeter Collectibles adds on to the earlier point you made. He says, I think the top sales more so indicate the hobby highly prioritizes top rookie brands over game worn versus not caring about game worn. Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
well, because one of the counters that I got was like, people clearly care about game use because the cards are more valuable. And I was like, I'll pull up the top 10 sales of most valuable cards of all time, and like two of them are game worn. Like the Giannis, that was like literally a replacement card, and it's sold. It's like the fifth highest sale. Yeah. And I don't think the Luka is a game worn either, right?
Nope.
That's the photo shoot, I believe.
Yep. And it's not 100% clear in a lot of cases that the player worn comes from the rookie photo shoot. That's a presumption. It just, the back of the card usually just says,
Something.
this is event worn, and you don't really specify the event.
One of someone in the jersey community was like making the point to me, you card guys are idiots. You don't even know if that Jordan logo man card came from a game used jersey. You guys haven't even figured it out. And I was like, isn't that more of a like dig against you? Like, we don't even know what it is and we still paid $3 million for it. It just shows you how little we actually care about it. We just wanted that. We just preferred to know that this is an MJ logo man auto. Like the game worn event worn was secondary. Otherwise, it would have, it sold for $3 million.
Yeah, and let's not act like the provenance of these game worn pieces of clothing is impeccable either.
Right.
I've seen photo matching, seen all the little red circles. I'm not 100% sold on all these photo matches, and I don't know, maybe within the last year, we've seen incredible photo matching scams due to the leading authenticators in that space. So let's just not high horse here, all right? The provenance issue extends beyond cards.
I'm remembering a golf cart through National with jerseys hanging on the back, fake jerseys.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I just want to give a dissenting point of view here to mine, just to acknowledge that I know I'm definitely in a minority here. Brand Sports Card says, who cares about rookie photo shoot? Any game used is better than event worn. And I think that's definitely going to be the prevailing point of view.
Maybe.
So just I'm acknowledging that. I'm not trying to gaslight here and say the community agrees that rookie photo shoot is as good as most game worn. Not trying to say that. I'm just saying, if you stop and think about it, what makes a game worn patch special is that the player you're collecting wore that jersey that you have a little piece of in a game. Okay, well, the rookie photo shoot is the player you're collecting went to a special event where all the rookies were gathered together by the card manufacturer, which is a cool detail here because we are collecting cards. So this is a special event for cards that had the player put on the jersey, take some pictures in it, walk around, meet people, meet and greet thing. There's a novelty value to that jersey too. That's all I'm saying. That's a pretty cool jersey.
Plus the rookie photo shoot, you kind of said this, but it is geared towards the cards, and it's meant for the hobby. It's meant to be in a collectible. It has an end purpose for it. Whereas a lot of these game used jerseys, sometimes they trade them at midfield after the game, and sometimes they give it to their aunt. Sometimes they sell it and it gets chopped up. Sometimes they it just, it's not really meant for that. But we as a secondary market like to turn that into a memorabilia photo matching extravaganza.
And where would the memorabilia and game worn, not cards, but the actual used clothing, where would that market be if that stuff wasn't basically just an input into making cards? Where would that market be if the card manufacturers hadn't been bidding on it for the past 20 years plus to acquire those items to then use them as inputs into a better product, which is a sports card? So
That's the Tom Brady jersey market, I feel like, for sure. You could explain the Tom Brady jerseys on that, because there's only presumably 17 or 16 a year for Shield 1-on-1s, so like the market's largely driven by that.
yeah. All right. Just jotting down a longer title suggestion here, but I like it a lot. All right. Next topic from Drake's PC. I saw a post recently referencing the thriving private markets in sports cards. And he put that in quotes, the thriving private market. Why do you think there's constantly so much negativity around the public markets when the private market is seemingly thriving? Also, do you think undisclosed prices of higher end private sales actually hurt or help overall market conditions and sentiments?
What do you think about this one?
I don't know about this thriving private market. Can you attest to a thriving private market?
I think it's more so like the only time people publicly come out with like, hey, this private sale happened, everyone get all excited, is when it is like a controllable edge case where something sells outrageously more than it should, or would at auction or whatever. And so that kind of like gives us this feeling that the private market is like doing better than the public market, whereas if we had all the private market sales, like it would probably wash itself out into the public market the same. We wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, and it's really easy to see rumors of private sales snowball into myths quickly, even if the rumor starts based on fact. Really quickly that can get distorted, and as the message gets relayed from person to person, and all of a sudden this game of telephone has created a totally inaccurate representation of what happened. Like, I remember in the era before pricing tools, it was pretty common for people to sort of like, in the Michael Jordan card collecting community as an example, for there to sort of be like this very informal comp sharing system where like, oh, so and so bought this card for $5,000, and that's what the card's worth now. Is that's the most recent price paid for the card, and there's just no way to verify it, and especially when it's second, third, fourth hand. And the other thing is that it's also really easy to just discard that if it is true. Like, let's say that sale really did happen, but I'm trying to buy that card, so I want to discourage people from believing that comp. I can just easily say this is phony. So it's really tough to have any reliance on so-called private market transactions that are never verified, that are never vetted, that are just sort of the byproduct of rumors and hearsay. What do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. Plus, like in the private market, the people just like control everything more. They control whether they actually would ever sell it or not, because once it goes to auction, it's gone. Like it's gonna sell, it's gonna end. Whereas public, you can just like control. Sorry, with private, you can just control, whether you're taking these offers or not, and you can kind of control your own price, and you can control the timing of it, and you can control, whether you tell other people that you sold it at that price, what you sold it for. Like it's way more controllable. So of course, we want to as a hobby, if we're gonna push any narrative, whether the hobby's doing well or poorly, we're gonna say it's doing well. And since we have all the control over the private market, we could just say it's doing well. Like, hey, I sold 5 things privately. The only one I'm telling you about is this one that did well.
Right. Great points. In the era now of more sports card data, like when there are figures available that tell us the size of the secondary market for trading card singles, like on the Card Ladder Industry tab, or when there are indexes with fully transparent methodology, like what Card Ladder has. You know, it's tough to like ignore all of that data in favor of the romantic idea that like, well, everybody just went underground and they're selling all their cards for record highs privately now, and you just don't hear about it.
Yeah.
It's really tough to buy that. I do know that it happens. It like, I'm not trying to pretend like there aren't private sales happening that are record high prices. It does happen, but we have data now. And like, this was kind of a little bit of a subject this week on some story posts on Instagram about like, well, you know, we don't need indexes in this hobby. Like, and I like sort of like, I get the point of it in the sense that an index, this is an important concept. I think most people get this concept, but it can be a slippery concept. An index or an overall industry trend is a generalization, and things that buck the general trend in either direction, either, you know, players whose indexes are actually going up and players whose indexes are going down even more than the general indexes are going down. Those all get swept into the general trend. And the point that can be a little slippery is that you can have plenty of individual examples that are contrary to the general trend, but that doesn't make the general trend not true, and it doesn't make the individual examples not true. It's just a concept to get comfortable with when thinking about data sets, is that there can be a general trend, then there can be plenty of individual specific instances that are contrary to the general trend. But that doesn't mean that indexes aren't useful. It just means maybe you don't really understand what an index is if you're not able to sort of make that distinction. Do you have anything to say on that?
I would say this is not the stock market. It is still a collectible space, and this is part of what makes the collectible space so intriguing for people to jump into, is there is always going to be a bit of wiggle room around the mass data that you see, whether that's because the comps are old on a specific thing, or the card's rare enough, or it has like, this one has a higher grade, or this one has a different patch. There's always some way to, you know, change what just like the latest price tells you. Whereas with the stock market, it's like, this is the price that it's trading at, this is how it is, this is it. You know, collectibles has a little bit of wiggle room, and it makes things a bit more interesting.
Yeah, for sure. All right, the other part to Drake's question was, do you think undisclosed prices of higher end private sales actually hurt or help market conditions?
Undisclosed?
Yeah, so like truly private sales, not a sale that we've vetted or a sale that's been published by a credible broker or an auction house or something like that, or a news report, but just like truly private sales that happen and nobody ever hears about it. And Drake is saying, is it better to have those sales come out? Should we really push for all those to be publicized? Does that help overall sentiment? Or is it better if they just stay private and we never hear about it?
If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Okay, there you go.
I don't know. You're asking me to say how something is affected by it when nobody knows what happened. I don't know. It's a philosophical question.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. And like, if we don't know that it's happening, then it's hard to feel one way or the other about it.
I had to Google that.
Nice. There's a whole Wikipedia page for that. Nice.
We're in pretzels today.
Yeah.
Our brains are pretzels.
We're getting deep in hour one. Yeah, I want to just like say something on behalf of it's totally okay to keep a private sale private, and everybody does not need to know about it. And I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago who said, well, look, like, wouldn't it actually be cool if every card sale was tokenized?
Ugh.
And it was on the blockchain, so that like we know every transaction that happens at every moment, and like we know what wallet it belongs to. What do you think about that?
Then we'd be on NFTs, wouldn't we? No, I mean that's what I was saying earlier. That's like part of the allure of sports cards and memorabilia and collectibles is like there is just this sort of like underground feel to it where we don't know everything because we can't know everything because it's physical.
Totally, and it's not so bad to have a little discretion, and one wants to keep one's market movements private.
Yeah, of
I
course.
just I
Don't you think
think that's actually a perk. I think that's a feature, not a bug.
you've seen the like high-end art market where like Sotheby's will be running these like huge auctions, and you'll actually see like people on the side on the phone speaking with their private client because the guy or girl doesn't want to be public with what they're purchasing because they want to put this into their collection and not have anyone know they have it. Whereas if I buy a stupid CryptoPunk, everyone's gonna know I have the dumb thing unless I make a fake. I guess I could just make a fake MetaMask.
Perimeter Collectible says that's the IRS's dream, and Brendan Ryan says that's Ruben's God's eye.
Eesh. That's just the white party.
All right. Next question. PLB Cards says, what do you think about PSA 10 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan sale for $293,000 with Golden last weekend? There was no eye appeal sticker. However, it did have a newer cert, which implies that it was graded more recently. I noticed that the recent sales of this card were in the $160,000 to $220,000 range, but they all had older certs.
Yeah, what did you guys think when you saw that come in?
I thought that it was high, obviously, because it was. So here's the sale. The 1986 Fleer PSA 10 sold June 1st with Golden for just under $293,000. And the cert, which was referenced, the cert starts with an 8.7.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really recent cert. So maybe the idea here is that this card was graded very strictly, and perhaps it's a superior copy for that reason.
The pop is up to 330. I remember when it was 310.
The good old days.
I remember when it was 310.
Yeah.
So all you star guys better be worried.
Right. Let's just let a few more sales happen, probably.
The previous one from REA was 168.
Yeah, I mean that's like half.
Didn't we have that? Okay, I'm looking at it. We had that Heritage one from January with the gold Mike Baker thing, and it sold for 372. Like we kind of had this before, where one will randomly jump up to 300 because of some eye appeal thing or cert thing, and then it comes back.
That's a great point. So that probably the newer cert probably is a factor here then.
Yeah.
Or the eye appeal of the card or something.
It's funny that like we've had to have grading to make the PSA 10 or to make the Jordan Fleer interesting. And now we have like these within the PSA 10. We have to find a way to make them more interesting because there's 330 of them. Like,
right. Right. Yeah. No, totally. And it can have $100,000 difference. All right.
I am serious about that star comment. I don't think we're done. I don't think we're done with 3.
No, definitely not. All right. From 1956 Topps guy, did the 2003 Ultimate Michael Jordan Logo Man Autograph 1 of 1 get held back because it's not from the best set of 2003?
Held back?
Yeah.
Like the price?
Correct.
So I'm to comment on how 3 million wasn't a lot?
Yeah, it's the highest selling Michael Jordan sports card of all time.
So like if this was an exquisite, you think it would, we're saying maybe it would sell for 5 million or something like that?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of confusion over like, is this Jordan's best card? And I understand why there's confusion around that. It is like a tough question because he doesn't have like the rookie card to stand out. So we're sort of like trying to figure it out. It's like the Gem Master, the Green PMG, this. I think, there's a couple other Logo Man autos. I know LeBron has like the vertical Logo Man auto from Ultimate, the rookie, and he's got the horizontal. I don't know if MJ has the vertical as well. I don't think he does. So there's like confusion around it. But like if there was a exquisite to compare it to, that would be easier. But this is like, we just don't we don't have the exquisite to compare it to. So I think people would probably just like maybe think this is his best and just pay a lot for it. I don't know that if this was exquisite instead of ultimate, it would go that much higher.
Right. Yeah. Probably right. And it's just like with Michael Jordan cards, there's a lot of if only with cards. Like here's a couple that if only is with this Ultimate Logo Man. If only it was the first Michael Jordan Logo Man autograph, but it wasn't. His first Logo Man autograph, as far as I'm aware, is from a year prior, which is a playing years card, and it's it's the orange one from his Wizards year. Yeah. What product? I can't remember what product that's from right now.
Let me pull it up real quick. Didn't that sell?
Yeah, I think it's sold like 3 times in the last 5 years because there's 3 of them. There's 3 different Logo Man autograph one-of-one Michael Jordans.
Yeah, I have it here. 1 second. I mean, it only sold for $350K.
Yeah.
And it's, I think it's like a Wizards patch, right? And he's wearing a Wizards jersey, so that obviously has a lot to do with it. And it's probably not as attractive as the other one. This is from, it just says Upper Deck patch, Logo Mania patches autographs set. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is part of the confusion, dude. Like, we know a lot about cards and sets and stuff, and even you and I are like grasping at straws here.
Yeah, no, it's a ton of information to keep straight, especially like I don't collect that type of Michael Jordan card or that era of Michael Jordan card, but so that's one of the if only aspects of the 03 Ultimate is like if only it was actually the first Logo Man autograph, but it's not. And if only it was a plain days card, but it's not. If only it was from Exquisite, but it's from Ultimate. And for every Michael Jordan card, in existence, you can do this. Like, if only his 86 Fleer had some parallels. If only it had like a 1-of-1 parallel, then we could say like this is definitively one of the best Michael Jordan cards. If only the 84 Star had been inserted into blind packs. If only the 84 Star had a gold parallel to 10 or to 50 or something like. If only Michael Jordan had an RPA. The PMGs, like, if only those had come out in his rookie year instead of his 11th season or 13th season, I guess, or whatever it is. So that's the thing that Michael Jordan collectors have to reconcile themselves with like quickly, is especially if you're coming from either like the vintage era where it was just very simple, you have a true rookie card from Topps or something, or if you're coming from ultra modern and you have all these awesome 1-of-1 Logo Man autographs from premium products, you have a Prism Black Finite or a Topps Chrome Superfractor 1-of-1. Like, the Michael Jordan era does not have that. All the cards have pretty big flaws. You're not going to find a perfect Michael Jordan.
And there's 2 of those, right?
There's 3.
2 Kobe's and
there's 3.
And they're just like photo variations.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're hand numbered serial. Like, it's a strange little era there of like MJ Logo Man cards.
Yeah, like it's not a big deal, but the patch window doesn't have any foil around it, and getting foil around a patch window really enhances the eye appeal of the card. But this is really early in the patch era.
And there's also this one. 1 second before we move on. I actually know who owns this one, but there's a MJ version of this as well. So this is 2004, which is like a little bit better eye appeal, maybe, and like See, if it's non-playing days, and it's not the first logo man, like to me that MJ Ultimate just is just another like I would rather compare it against 2004 and be like they're equal to me. They're both non-playing days. They're both not the first. What does it matter? You know, like someone's gonna be like, oh, this is the first Ultimate Bulls
Yeah.
jersey logo, like
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. That's that card's elevator pitch. I would imagine is and then obviously a huge part of the allure of that card is that LeBron's
Rookie year.
best rookie parallel comes from Ultimate.
Yeah.
So
It looks
the LeBron.
it looks like LeBron's best card.
Exactly. I think that's
Yeah,
a
that helps.
huge factor. Yeah.
That makes sense. Like if the if the PMGs had come out in '96, that might even help those even more because it's Kobe's rookie year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Next up from Yeah Man Cards. What do you guys think about eBay not accepting American Express starting on August 17th? And I'll just give like a really quick background on this story. So this is from The Verge. eBay will no longer accept American Express cards over the quote unacceptably high fees. This is from eBay. Quote, credit card transaction fees continue to rise unabated because of a lack of meaningful competition. And finally, the article notes that eBay still accepts Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and other payment methods like PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Venmo. And don't get too concerned about American Express because they actually replied to this and said eBay represents less than 0.2% of its total network volume.
Oh, we got two big boy. We're trying to big boy each other here.
Zing!
I have two things, and then I'll leave you guys to this. One, Q actually told me a way for Amex users to get around this. Go to your local grocery store. You get a better percentage using your Amex card for rewards, and buy eBay gift cards from the grocery store. Your percentage goes up, and you don't have to worry about your card being on file with eBay. Two, I find it kind of humorous that eBay is upset at credit card companies regarding fees.
There we go.
One of my favorite parts of the show is seeing what topic she decides to jump in on.
Yeah. Credit cards apparently is her sweet spot.
She's like, fees? Oh my God, get me in there. I'm gonna rip these big corporate companies. I laughed because you were like, eBay and Amex are going at it like these giant, huge corporate companies. 0.2%, man. Like, okay.
Yep. So that's
Our customers mostly spend their money on yachts, not eBay. So sorry, eBay. We don't give a shit. You guys aren't selling caviar on that site, are you?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't have an opinion on this. I don't have an American Express card. It doesn't affect me in the slightest.
We should shill our credit card companies that we support.
Do you have a strong brand loyalty to a
No.
particular card?
I have a double cash. That's my card.
All right. But good intel for Amex users. I do know one Amex user in the hobby who's not happy about this. Let me tell you.
Oh, don't worry. I replied to his story with the idea of going to the grocery store and buying gift cards, and he was very excited about the reward.
But
it's like a triple reward to shop at grocery stores using your Amex or something. So he was excited.
But they don't. Whatever grocery store he goes to, they're not going to have enough gift cards to supply his eBay purchasing habits.
You'd be like, what do you mean there's a $100 limit on these fucking cards?
I'm pretty sure they go up to $500, first of all. And second, you can also go to like Visa, like prepaid gift card and use your Amex to buy those. You just won't get the rewards you would for grocery stores.
The rewards is key. All right.
Well, that's why Amex users are so brand loyal, is because supposedly they get amazing rewards.
Right. They get to have special places at the airport.
Yeah.
So that's hence the fees. Now it all starts to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of credit card fees, here's our next question. From Drake's PC, PWCC is starting to charge credit card transaction fees. Is this reasonable or not?
Can you explain this fully before
I cannot. I have no idea what he's talking about.
I think he's saying like if you pay with a credit card for a winning auction, you have to pay 3% on top of it. Isn't that what Golden's done for years?
I think so. And so basically what he's saying is like PWCC is passing their credit card transaction fee onto you.
Right.
And so the question is it reasonable or not? My first instinct is to say, as long as there's not an additional fee smuggled into that fee, where like they're charging you for the privilege of using their credit card fee, then it sounds reasonable enough.
Well, I'll answer that by telling you a tidbit that Stripe charges card ladder every time one of our customers uses the Stripe through credit card, and we don't pass that on. So there you go.
Hey, there you go. How about that, Drake? How is that reasonable? It's not bad. We need to figure out how to pass that fee along.
I have to like sit there and like do the math and raise the price. It's much work.
I'm just joking. We've been at $15 for since 2020. So that basically means you get us for free based on inflation.
I was gonna say inflation. What?
We don't believe in inflation. We're taking a hard stand against inflation. All right.
We're just rejecting. We reject inflation.
We do.
That's the title. We reject inflation.
Yeah. All right.
You guys are the that's the best comment of the night. I have to read this one. Yeah, Man Card says you guys are the Costco hot dog of the hobby. That was really good.
No one's ever said anything quite that nice to us.
Yeah, that's like the nicest thing anyone's ever said.
$1.50 Costco hot dog lives on forever.
All right. From Art Connoisseur, are auction houses the next wave of hobby consolidation via Fanatics?
So like Fanatics is going to buy more auction houses?
Yeah. Yep. And consolidate them, presumably.
I haven't heard of a new. I'm going to steal your. You said this to me. You take it.
What did I say? I don't remember.
I said we talked about this, and you messaged me, and you're like, I haven't heard of a new marketplace in a while. It's like no, we're talking about consolidating, but what we haven't seen any new ones pop up.
That's right. There's not going to be any marketplaces to consolidate. Everything's going back to eBay.
Yeah, it does feel like it's less of a consolidation of companies acquiring each other and more of people are just like all moving their sales to one place.
Exactly. Fanatics did acquire a pretty big marketplace with PWCC.
Right.
So there is that. But what even would they acquire at this point?
Maybe they're talking about like eBay buying Golden, sparking like the next move for Fanatics to respond or something.
The marketplace arms race?
Right. There was like all these rumors of a grading company arms race, and that kind of died down. So maybe this is the next one.
Yep. Maybe it's just a one-off or a two-off. You know, PWCC gets acquired, Golden gets acquired, and then everybody else, then we just chill. All right. From True RCs, also known as Victor, the rookie card specialist. Can you help me clarify what a true RPA is? I hear that term thrown around a lot, and it seems like it has multiple definitions. To me, it is the base rookie card out of National Treasures that just so happens to be autographed with a patch. For example, the 2020 National Treasures Ant-Man number 111. Do you have any opinions on this?
It always comes off of the base set. So in the base set of the high-end product, the rookie base card is the RPA. And that started from Exquisite.
Indeed. And yeah, I agree with you. I agree with Victor. that is what a true RPA is to me. Is the one quibble I would have with Victor is that I'm not sure if this is exactly what he means or if he's just giving an example. He says the base rookie card out of National Treasures that just so happens to also have an autograph and a patch. I agree with that, but just take away National Treasures. I think a true RPA can be any base set rookie card from any product that has a patch and an autograph. So, for example, I think so. Flawless does not have a true RPA. Immaculate, in most years, does have a true RPA. Although sometimes Immaculate, in the past, has given players in their rookie season a base card that comes in the checklist before the patch autograph. So in that case, the patch autograph is not, in my opinion, a true rookie card. But in most, you can have an Immaculate true RPA. You have an NT true RPA. You can have a Spectra true RPA potentially.
So the Ultimate Cardboard Connection for the 2018.
Yeah.
This is the rookie patch autograph set checklist, and the base is the one that's numbered to 99.
Yep.
And all the other ones are parallels. So it also is like honing in on that 99 copy.
Exactly. Perfect. All right. And Victor does a lot of work on the idea of rookie cards, true rookie cards. Check out his YouTube channel if you never have before. All right. From Jam Collectibles, please discuss the obscene PSA 10 population reports on modern rookies, and the long-term impact. And I'll show you. I'm pretty sure this post by Lamim James is what inspired this. Lamim made a post that showed the Wembanyama Prison Base PSA 9 population 5,304, population higher 10,815.
He made some smart ass comment about the higher part, right?
Yeah, he said only 10,815 high.
You've been looking at these, right? The Wembanyama's. What do you think?
It's just small rant here. So there was this soccer player named Makoko who had a Tops Now card come out, and he was very hyped up, and the card had 46,000 roughly copies, and it was selling for $400, $500, $600, $700 as a PSA 10. And then when I was reviewing sales last night, a sale that card came in, and I always like do a double take when this moment happens. I just pause on it for a second. A 99-cent sale came in last night for the Makoko Tops Now. So from $700 to 99 cents in a few years for this card. A variable of that is always the population increasing and the hype dying at the same time. Demand is going down while supply is going up. And it's the same thing for the Wembanyama. So now to bring it back to the Wembanyama, his prison-based PSA 10. I've been working on getting some of these cards into Card Ladder from his Prism. And his prison-based PSA 10 was going for around $600 when they first started getting graded, and it's fallen to $130 today. And a big part of that story is the population going from 0 when it first came out to over 10,000 in 4 months.
What is it on the meme screenshot?
10,815.
On the 9 or the 10?
Oh, sorry. Oh, no, that's the 10. 10,815 for the 10.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Even the silver, I saw you working on the silver too. That one's almost 2,000 pop already.
Yeah. Yep.
So those silvers are not rare. This is not football silvers.
Exactly. So, what do you think about this? These, tens of thousands of these cards and the long-term impact.
Yeah, I mean, I posted a story about Victor Wembanyama's like total market volume relative to some other players.
Yep.
And he's basically like in the MJ range, close to it. He's above LeBron and Kobe. And obviously, like a lot of that is because the product just came out and people are spending the money now and it's front of mind. But his volume year to date is 25 million, and the only player higher is MJ at like 45. So, I mean, I think of it more in those terms where just people are just spending a lot of money on all the different Wembanyama cards. PSA 10 base, silver, nines, the zebras, all the different parallels. There's just a lot of money being spent on it, on Wembanyama. And it's just the same thing we see every year. You know, we did it with Zion, we did it with Ja Morant, we did it with Anthony. We're doing it with Anthony Edwards. It's just over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah. That's such a it's just so interesting to me because it's like from Makoko to Clyde Edwards-Helaire to Wemby to everybody. I don't know of many, if any, instances in the last 5 years where a rookie who was hyped enough to grade their cards ended up having those cards do anything but just backslide by 40, 50, 60, 70, 80% in the year following their release.
So why do people keep falling for it? Is it they're just inexperienced and not knowing that, like, you know, they're just caught up in the moment and they're not looking at the data, or what?
So I love that question. Let's think about it this way. What do you think somebody would say if you could suddenly teleport into the bedroom of the guy or girl who's about to push by on a Victor Wembanyama card, Prism base, 4 months ago at $600? If you could just like teleport into that room and just ask them right before they click the button to buy it, why are you buying this? What is your expectation?
You get arrested.
What do you think they would say?
They would talk about how great Wembanyama is.
Yeah.
Which is I think the number one mistake that keeps getting made over and over. Because when I posted all those stories, the immediate pushback to me was like, Anthony Edwards is great. You know, he's just gonna keep getting better. The Wolves are gonna keep getting better. There's this sort of like feeling that whatever current momentum someone has is going to continue forever, and that happens with stocks and crypto and everything, like real estate. There's always just this feeling when things are going up, there's this feeling that it's never going to end, and it's the reverse as well. Like when it feels like it's going down, it's never going to end. So it's just like that feeling. But the mistake is that you get caught up in thinking and focusing on, you know, Wembanyama the player, and he probably will get better. He probably will like join an All NBA team in the next year. He'll probably move into first team All NBA eventually. That has nothing to do with it. Like that's not gonna stop what's gonna happen. Even if he does play well, Luka won 5 straight All NBAs and his cards went down from 2020. Like that has nothing to do with it. It's really just about like you said, the population increasing, the demand decreasing because people are moving on to other things or they get bored or whatever. So no, I'm not even arguing that Wembanyama is not amazing. Of course he is. I'm just talking about strictly the data.
And you know, I think something that accelerates it is that person who bought for $600 is sort of following the market passively, and then they see it go to 500, and then they see it go to 400, and then they sell theirs because they're like, ah, crap, I made a mistake. And then that increases the supply that's on the market, and that increased supply happens against a backdrop of an increasing population report and a decreasing level of enthusiasm and demand. So it actually just amplifies it when people kind of start to panic sell because it's going down. It compounds. Something interesting that I noticed on this topic, maybe a ray of sunshine even, is I was recently asked by a friend and card ladder user, why don't we have a Caitlin Clark index? And I said, that's a great point. We should have one. And so I started building one. And I just went to start to her 2022 Bowman University. And I added in the base PSA 10 that has a population of about 1,700. And that card was selling for around $50, $60 in November of 2023, and today it's about 100 to 120 bucks. A lot happened for her in between, and that's not the point of this story. It's like, oh look, here's a base card that went up, because I still think it'll probably end up ultimately going down. But the point is that if you compare that to one of the parallels, such as the Aqua out of 299, which is still plenty of copies, but the Aqua out of 299 PSA 10 is only a pop 23. And in November, that card was selling for around $100. And it sold 3 days ago for $435. So I think that's a trend that can happen here in the background, is that while the base PSA 10 and the refractor even, or the silver PSA 10 can like really explode in population and stuff, if you are knowledgeable about the parallels and seek those out, those do a lot better, I think. So, and that's an example. That's going back to the point. That's just an example. It's not a trend. I don't have any trend related data here, but in this example, her 299 parallel did a lot better than the base.
The other thing I want to point out is market cap. People should look at the market cap stat. I always try to bring this up. The market cap of the PSA 10 base Wembanyama, which is just simply taking the value on average of one of them and multiplying it by the population, is like 1.5 million. They're selling for, there's 10,000 of them, they're selling for $150 a piece. 1.5 million. And the market cap of like Kareem rookies are like 3 million, and that's his only rookie. And Wembanyama has like 1,000 parallels. So if you add up the market cap of all of Wembanyama parallels, it's like in the 50 million range or whatever.
Yep.
And someone like Kareem, because people are like, oh, he's the next Kareem or he's the next whatever. Like, look at the market cap of some of those players and see if the prices are already sort of baked in to them being Kareem today. And that's why it's not even that they're not going to be the next, like we think he's going to be the next amazing player like that. It's that he's already priced above it. So like he literally cannot go anywhere but down on some of these because of the market cap and populations.
Great. All right. From Mike Pinkerton 50, is card grading better or worse in 2024?
Or the difficulty, the pricing, the accessibility?
These are all good questions, but he left it open.
Well, I'm assuming this is about the PSA raising some of the upcharge fees or the.
I do have a question on that as well.
Tier. It's not even. People keep saying the upcharge. Those prices aren't like always upcharges. The upcharge is when you submit it at one level and it grades well enough to move itself up into the next level. Like the confusion there is that these tiers are defined before you even send the card in. It's like if you send a card in that's worth $1,000, this is what it's going to cost.
Yep.
But if it gets upcharged into the 1,000, it's the same. It's not like it's a different. It's not like they're putting up some magical secondary number that they don't show you beforehand.
Yep. Sorry, I went off screen to blow my nose for a second. But yeah, great point. So we had a question on that, to your point, Josh, from MXO Cards, who said, please discuss the PSA upcharge BS. And I just pulled up, in anticipation of this question, exactly what you just spoke to, which is the tiers. And so I'm not going to read all the tiers here, but like an example of the tiers is that there's something called the regular submission tier, which is for cards with a declared value of $1,500 or less and an estimated turnaround time of 10 business days. And the tier below that is called Value Plus, and that's for cards with a declared value of $500 or less. So if I have a card that's in a value range between $500 and $1,500, I should submit it at the regular service level. That's what PSA is asking me to do. That's what their business model is. And I did recently submit 4 cards that are in that price range at that business level, and I got a PSA 4, a 7, an 8, and a 9. That's neither here nor there, but I got destroyed.
I don't think they downcharge you, did they?
No, they didn't. They didn't refund me even. But that's a policy to implement here. But okay, so that's there. The tiers are available on PSA's websites, obviously, and I think I went back and revisited the original tweet that was bringing up this topic, and the tweet was suggesting that the PSA had changed the cost um, of the different tiers, and I don't know if that is in fact the case or not. But I would be a little frustrated if I had to pay more money to grade my cards because the cost of a tier went up. I think that's completely understandable. But the other side of the coin is that their business. They can raise the price of those tiers if they feel it's appropriate.
Yeah, they're just doing the math on like the supply and demand and what people are paying based on resale markets. And I will point out though that tweet was actually wrong, so I have a hard time like getting super fired up when the details of the tweet were wrong. It said that under 1,000 is $70 or 75, whatever it costs, and it's 1,500 is that tier, not 1,000.
All right. Any other thoughts about card grading in 2024? It's a lot better than 2021 when we couldn't grade cards.
Yeah.
When
Yeah, it's like
every grading company was either was so backlogged or just shut down.
yeah, it's like we were all making free money from grading, but it took so long to get it back. We weren't actually making money by the time we got it back, which was probably more frustrating than what's happening now, where everything's in a reasonable time and you just like have to take your time more and find the right stuff that makes sense to grade. And there's less of a just, dude, I was literally going through my binder. I'm sure you were too, going through random cards. And like, I have to grade all this, I think, because it's worth 10 times as much in a PSA 10 if I have to send all these in. And I was just sending in random stupid base cards and getting 9s and 10s and selling them because it's like,
Yeah, and a testament to the excesses of that time was I went through just so many 5 rows and binders and everything, and I just had stacks of cards that I was grading. Like I think I graded like 1,000 cards or so at that time. And when I was transporting the stacks from one area of the basement to another, I dropped one of the stacks and just dinged like 75 corners, and I still graded all those cards.
you lost
Even
like $1 million that day.
Yeah, that was like my GameStop stock just plummeting right before me on a YouTube stream.
Down 30% in one day.
30%.
Did you do you remember that photo of Gary V's table with all the like base slabs? You remember that? That's how I just like can't get that image out of my mind when we get on this topic of like excess of grading, and when it made absolutely no sense to us why this was happening, but it just was like a frenzy of anything that was slab was just worth a ton of money, and just everybody had it though. It was like the junk slab era for sure.
It was, and like for some of us that went off, like the worst thing that happened was hardly that stack falling over. I was submitting cards through a group submitter who was submitting through another group submitter called Mark's Cards. And so my 1,000 cards, which like were barely worth, like I was grading cards like if they got a 10, we're going to be worth like 30 to 50 bucks. If they got a 10, so they were barely worth grading in the first place. But it was fun. It's like a fun game, I guess. But even then, those cards got held hostage in the Marks bankruptcy proceeding for years. Yeah. And then by the time I got them back, I ended up trading all 1,000 to Coleman for like 500 bucks.
Some like 50-year Giannis Gold Prism or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm interested. I would be interested to know if there's still like a decent market for people people buying raw cards on eBay and grading them and selling them for more. If there's like still, because I used to do some of that, but I haven't in years. So I'd be interested to see if there's still like a decent market for that.
Yeah, I wonder as well. Christina and I still have like a grading pipeline going just because we like to open boxes, and so we'll open a few boxes every few months, and that'll produce like 10 or 15 cards that are worth grading. And then by the time the national or the next card show that has a grading event happen, I'll have like a pile of 50 to grade. Then inevitably, when I get them back from the grading, I get like a $600 bill to grade them, and there's like $500 worth of cards, and I'm like, I'm losing. Constantly losing. All right. From Matt Bubar, what would happen? Oh, as soon as the question came in, I was like, I wonder what you will say. What would happen if box breaking ceased to exist? Would wax prices come down since the supply would go up? Would it take much longer to find singles from new products? Would there be any other positives or negatives? So what do you think would happen if just box breaking just went away?
The hobby would just go to the moon. We'd all be we'd be so rich. It would just be swimming in the joys of the hobby. It would just be so much better. No, is that what you? I was trying to answer what you thought you want me to say to get you excited.
Yeah, that's good. No, I just did think like it would be funny. It's just thinking of a hobby where there's no breaking. None.
I think the question answered all of them the way I was thinking about it. Like the box prices would go down, but the singles would come out less frequently. Like it's just, that's just all kind of the obvious stuff.
Yeah. And I think there would be like secondary effects to that too, which would be a lot of hobby businesses would go away. And a lot of those businesses reinvest some amount of their profits into like making repack products and stuff like that. So like a lot of that would go away. I think it would just shrink everything. The pie would shrink, and that's okay. That's not all bad. Like one byproduct of the pie shrinking would be the cost of boxes would definitely go down. And when the cost of boxes goes down, I think that probably lowers the amount that sellers charge for singles that they get out of those boxes, and it would create a deflationary effect.
One thing I will say though is that you wouldn't have so much money leaving the hobby because all those businesses pay breakers and like employees to ship and stuff, and then they use those to pay their bills. Like it would be collectors using their hobby money to buy boxes, other collectors using hobby money to buy singles, and then those collectors would go and buy other things with that money. So it might be a better ecosystem.
Fair point.
Yeah, I'm thinking about if that actually happened, I would probably open a lot more boxes.
Yeah.
Like me personally, I would be more ingrained in the hobby because I'm not interested in the gambling breaking aspect of the hobby. So because of it, I'm almost like intimidated by it so much that I just completely stay away from it. I don't follow any of the accounts. I don't engage at all. And I'm kind of sad that I can't rip any of the wax because it's like it doesn't like tentatively make any sense for me financially.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. What was the last box that you did open?
When you guys came over and we opened that 2019, whatever. I think we opened like 2019 Prism.
Dude, that was years ago.
We opened a box at the Anaheim show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, didn't you have like a SP box or something?
Yeah, we still have those. South sold those to us.
Yeah,
We were supposed to open one when he was here, but we didn't end up doing it.
Yeah, that's just such a scary. That box is just guaranteed to have nothing in it.
Didn't we open football with Brett?
Yeah, at the Dallas Card Show.
Yeah,
I think a few other guys were there too. There's like Bowman Chrome 2014 football or something like that.
Like it's basically embarrassing that co-founder of Card Ladder is like, I don't remember the last time I opened boxes.
No, dude, there's a lot of people like that. I like of the Michael Jordan collectors that I know, for example, I would say like 5% of them even have an appetite for opening product.
Because it's expensive or what?
Because it's expensive. Because the stuff that they collect, just the boxes are expensive, and it's just not. You can't walk into your local hobby shop and just buy a 1997 Metal Universe box, even if it was affordable.
I think there's also just, at least I'll speak for myself, like it's pretty, like I said, it's intimidating and it's confusing of like, if I wanted to open my own box, like I know that I'm competing with breakers, like it's just weird. I don't even know where I would begin.
So I think that's a really
Maybe fanatics can think about this where specific products aren't allowed to go to breakers, that if they can control the flow, where they can only sell it retail, direct to consumers or something, collectors. But then people are just gonna like make collector accounts and buy 100 of them, or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Next question here from Mr. LAGN. He says, the fake PMG saga guy made a YouTube channel. Please discuss.
Go for it. You watched it, right?
I did. I watched two. I watched his first video where he kind of gives the whole story, and then I watched his most recent, his fourth video, his update. Like the background of the story is basically this: a Michael Jordan card from 1997 Metal Universe that may or may not be a PMG Red. It did not have a serial number on the back. There were lots of signs on the front side of this card that indicated that it was not consistent with any other PMG Red, just the way it had been colored in and stuff. This card was authenticated by BGS and encapsulated, and then it was sold on eBay for $23,000. The guy bought it. People had been analyzing and looking at this eBay auction and noticed that the card was strange for all the reasons I already mentioned. He caught wind of some of this analysis after he had purchased the card and paid for it, and he became concerned, obviously. Made a video discussing the scenario. The card passed eBay authentication, and the reasoning for that is because eBay does not authenticate a card that's already been graded. They simply authenticate the slab, apparently, that the card is in. And he raised his concern with eBay, made them aware of the situation. He raised his concern with Beckett, made them aware of the situation. And where the situation currently is at now, my understanding of it, is that the card is being sent back to BGS after it had been delivered to the individual who purchased it. He is now sending it back to BGS. BGS is going to review the card again. If BGS determines that the card, in fact, is not authentic, they will pass that information along to eBay as well as to the buyer. And eBay is going to refund the buyer in full. And according to the seller of the card, who's also in touch with the buyer, eBay has never given the fund. They have not released the funds yet to the seller. So the funds are still in escrow, and they can be returned to the buyer. And so now we await BGS's determination.
So the seller is the one that colored the card?
That's a part of this that like deserves some clarity for sure. Is what, down to the detail,
right?
How the hell did you come into contact with this card?
Because the seller's like, look how great I am. I'm communicating with eBay. I'm willing, I'm working with everybody. I'm being transparent. And it's like, yeah, that's great. You're super nice. But also, how the fuck did you get that card?
Exactly.
Did you
So
color it? Did you buy it? Didn't BGS slab it as authentic altered?
I don't know.
Or something?
They
like
didn't give it a
like,
numeric grade, but I know they at least called it authentic.
They definitely altered the card.
Yeah.
Definitely altered.
There's so many very basic things that are wrong with this, such as it not being serial numbered on the back, and such as the logo of the Metal Universe logo on all of the PMGs, whether red or green. There's a prominent silver portion there, and that silver portion is not here on this card. So we'll see. The card is still in limbo right now.
You're pointing out the technical aspects that make it for sure fake, but even just like the average person can look at it and be like, "Oh my God, that is so bad." Like the coloring is weird and it just looks super fake just immediately.
Are you looking at his fourth video right now? And like they have like video of it.
Yeah, update 4, yeah.
Like within update 4, he shows a video of a family member of his who picked up the card because he's not in town right now, and they show the card.
Am I allowed to show that here?
Yeah.
I have that, yeah.
But although I still do believe this is definitely not an original.
There we go.
You guys can.
He thinks it's not real, so.
Yeah.
Now for the eBay seal that's on the card.
So this says authentic altered.
All right. There you go. So like,
Slabs authentic altered.
what if? So if it does say authentic altered, what if this is a clerical error?
Right.
And the slab should have just said 1997 Metal Universe authentic altered, and instead there was an entry error at some point, and PMG Red got put on the label.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
That's exactly how I was thinking about this. Like, if you were to technically slab this as altered, you should label it as the base.
Right.
But someone messed up, and they're just like, because it's like the set is called metal, and they're like precious metal gems. Like it's a little bit confusing. Someone might have just punched it in wrong, and seeing the red threw them off. I don't know.
Exactly. All right.
And I don't even think it says red on it. Let me look at the slab one more time. It just says precious metal gems.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's move along here. This was an interesting question from Doc Collects Cards. With there being talk of hobby burnout, and with some hobby podcasts fading away. That's a hell of an introduction, right? Has your show seen an overall decrease in engagement, such as viewership, comments, etc.? And have you seen any change to your personal Instagram engagements compared to 1 to 2 years ago? Let's start with the last part first. What about the personal account?
Yes. I mean, on the whole, like everything has kind of gone down over the last 2 years. Likes and engagement or whatever, I guess. This show, do you want to answer this show?
Yeah, what were you saying about this show?
I mean, maybe down like a little bit. I feel like the number of questions we get and the engagement on like the superficial engagement, the views at any specific time or like the likes, but the actual questions and the engagement from people we know and like multiple time question askers, that feels the same to me.
Yes. So exactly. So like my point of view on this is the amount of questions that we get has never been higher, and the quality of the questions has never been better. The level of live viewers is way down from like where it was in 2021 or 2022. We had like around 100 to 150 usually.
Yeah.
And now we have like maybe 40, 50, 60. But the amount of views that we get on the video after I make it live, which is most people like rewatching it on Saturday on Instagram, is consistently 500 to 1,000. That's always where that number's been at. And then I went onto our YouTube channel where you can see we have like 200 or more, something like that, maybe around crossovers on the YouTube channel.
Oh my God.
It's a lot.
We are pathetic.
There's so many crossovers on there. And I went through those, and we get about 1,000 views a week per episode on YouTube with those. And and sometimes there will be like one that gets like 2,000. Sometimes there'll be one that's like sitting at 700, 800. That has not changed. That's just been like same consistent amount throughout. Like you can go back and look at the most popular one from 2021 or 2022, and it's like right on par. with the most popular one from 2024. And then like the podcast downloads is consistent too. So like they're like from the beginning until now, basically, it's just been like the same 5,000 people listening to the crossover in one of the different mediums. And so I was thinking like, well, why are less people watching the live? And I was like, well, one reason is probably that the live happens at midnight Eastern. And during the pandemic, 2020, 2021, 2022,
There you go.
there were people who were not going out and having fun in their lives on Friday nights. There were no sports to watch on Friday nights. There was, this was much higher on the priority list of like live activities to do. And now, it's Friday night. Like I'm looking out the window here in Dallas and just like seeing people everywhere at the bars and driving around. And, it's just, it's in the middle of the night on Friday. I can't believe what is wrong with the 45 of you who are listening right now.
Well, you said we have 200 episodes, and we're here Friday night, so I think we're part of the group.
That's a given. We are the biggest part of the problem, but we're still gonna audience shame.
What's that word that you always tell Brett that you guys are? You're
radicals.
Radicals, sports card radicals. There you go.
Yeah. And then we have people from across the world, like Istanbul Cards, who says, "There's no way I'd watch if it was Friday night. It's Saturday morning here."
There you go. That's like definitely the number one complaint I get, and it's like, well, sorry, we're not willing to give up or at least I'm not willing to give up Friday like dinner time with my family. So this is the time we do
this show. Think about this, Josh. If we started doing this show at like Tuesday at 6 p.m., it would completely change the vibe of this show. This would be a completely different show.
We'd have to be more serious.
Yeah, we'd be like way more wired, more serious. The calmness that TGIF brings, the end of the week, it's Friday night, like easing into the weekend. That's part of the vibe of the show. I think it'd be really hard to change that now.
Plus, having it so late, like it's kind of like, even though none of us drink on the stream anymore, but like it's kind of like we're letting off steam and we're able to say what we really feel because it's late night and it's the end of the week and we put up with a lot of shit throughout the last 5 days and it's time for us to like just like this is our third space. If anyone knows what that is.
I don't, but plus, like what Eddie says right here, he says, "You guys couldn't be old man, get off my lawn haters anymore." And like, I am like very comfortable hating on a number of things at this hour. It's just it's
like Istanbul Card saying that he basically he's saying his wife and kids are asleep. Right. He basically sets an alarm to wake up early on Saturday morning to come hang out in this room.
Nice.
Plus, you guys can respond to this and give a different answer, but I literally couldn't care less how many people we have in these. Like none of my ego has changed one way or the other. If there was 1,000 people, I wouldn't care.
Yep. That is definitely a factor.
You heard my take on the national, right? Like what I want less people there. So
yes. Well, something always has amused me. Not that it really impacts this setting, but it impacts the national setting more. If you get together more than like 3 people, maybe more than 4 people, that group, like if it's like a group of 7, it's going to break up into like 2 groups of 2 and then a group of 3. It's just the more the people come in, like, and the group just fragments more.
I think Simmons talked about this maybe, or some podcasts I listen to. The optimal group size, I think, is 4.
Yeah.
It's like where you get the most enjoyment, where the balance of the number of people, the engagement from each person, it's like the optimal number is 4.
Yeah, like it's so true. And at the National, there's going to be dinners where there's like 15 dudes there, and you're just going to get stuck talking to the one dude next to you. And it's just like, can we like have just like a 15 dude discussion? And there's like a talking stick So we can all be part of this at the same time.
Yeah. No matter how you do it, though, you do a 15-person thing. 4 of them are going to be on the side making fun of the people on the other side. They're going to be like, "We're part of the main group." You guys, it's just that's the way it
It's
works.
so true. All right. What else do we want to go to here? Oh, we still have a ton of questions and not that much time. See, I went out of order now. I'll just go back to the top of this list. All right, here's always a light, fun one. JD9 card. Well, I don't know how fun it is. JD9 card says, "What do you think will be the iconic sets from 2000 till now? It can be a set from any sport, excluding 2003 Exquisite and 2012 Prism, because those are already iconic."
God damn it! The ones where you make me come up with something on the spot are the worst.
Oh, I know. I have nothing either, so don't feel
Oh,
bad.
I got it. 2018 Kaboom.
Oh, here's my zag on this question, right? After like answering some version of this question, probably a few dozen times, just always just shooting from the hip and just struggling to have anything. Maybe this is not the era of iconic sets. Maybe there's just too many, and maybe iconic is something that gets established earlier in the life cycle of industry in a market like ours, and we have what we have, and maybe that's just the wrong prism for understanding, no pun intended, for understanding this ultra modern era. Maybe it's not about iconic sets. Maybe it's about something else. Maybe there's going to be a totally different way. Because how do you like 1952 Tops is iconic, but there wasn't much to compete against it. And then like the Tops brand continued its iconicness. And then Upper Deck was already iconic, and then Exquisite is the best Upper Deck offering. I don't know. Panini has like 30 brands roughly each year, and we know which ones are clearly the most iconic right now. Why would that change? And B, if it did change, like how the hell are you? You got a 1 in 30 chance at picking the right. I mean, those are terrible odds.
Yeah. I was gonna zag this one as well and say it's gonna end up being like a cross-cutting parallel iconicism. Like we're gonna have the black 101s and the golds out of 10, not necessarily on one year or one set. Select gold, optic gold, prism gold. I think it's gonna be more of that. And I think also maybe like the nebula, like people are gonna remember that. That's like a cross-cutting. There's like the optic choice nebula. There's a few different ones that you can point to, and then maybe like the first off the line parallels of the RPAs. Some of them are numbered to 3 and 20. Like there might be some of that going on where it's like it's more like the parallel era that we remember.
Like that. All right.
And kabooms.
Of course. And from Keith Levine, if ultramodern basketball and football was produced by Tops, and it will be soon, would you target the golds out of 50 because of their color, or the reds out of 5 and out of 10 because of their rarity?
Yeah. I mean, the 2008 Topps Chrome is a good experiment for this for basketball. They have the golds out of 50 and the reds out of 5. I believe they sell pretty similar in value. The reds maybe a little bit more because it is like 10x the rarity, so that's a pretty heavy weight. I don't know. It'll probably be a little similar to 2008, I would assume, like where it's almost equal, but probably in favor of the red.
Yeah, it's a great comp. I don't see why it would deviate from that.
Let me pull those up.
And like obviously gold is awesome and one of, if not the most beautiful parallels. But the PMGs are red and green, and that doesn't seem to be a big problem.
You mean, oh yeah. Here we go. So So a red sold on Premiere, LeBron BGS 9 red sold for 50K, and I think the golds are going to be quite a bit lower than that. 50. Gold hasn't, the BGS 9 hasn't sold in a few years, but the gold is probably more like 10K. So yeah, the red's pretty favorable there.
Does that make sense to you?
But like the PSA 10 golds sell for a pretty decent premium. You can't really get the red in the PSA 10.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was thinking maybe like 2x would make sense.
All right.
Factor. Just trying to find any grade of the gold. BGS 9.5 sold for 24K, and the BGS 9 red sold for 52 around the same time.
Okay.
So there you go. Maybe like a 2.5x.
Got it. All right. Reds are doing well. Okay. From Basketball Card Collector 93, when considering autographed cards, of course, collectors prefer on-card autographs over sticker autographs. However, how do you think about cards that have autographs on the patch itself, such as scripted swatches? Do you value them similarly to on-card autographs since the player signs the patch, which is already inserted in the card?
I personally do not, because the autos usually look like a little bit more faded because they're on like the material and they fade over time more. And the scripted swatches sells for significantly less than the other inserts for Exquisite, just as an example.
Exactly. There's also the Avery labels that was more so of a thing in the 2000s, where instead of signing stickers, players would sign like a white piece of paper, basically, and then it would be inserted inside of a card. So it's not a sticker on top; it's an embedded piece of paper with a signature embedded inside the card. And no matter which way you do it, if it's Avery label or if it's an autographed patch, my preference aesthetically is just always going to be on card, and it just looks the best. It's more of the tradition.
Yeah. An interesting thought I had was like with the autographs that you're talking about, these categories, it's a pretty big difference aesthetically, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the event worn, player worn, those all aesthetically presumably look exactly the same. So like us as collectors visually seeing a huge difference is like an automatic value deduction, whereas the other one is like, oh, you gotta learn about all these different nuances of the event worn and how many jerseys they wore that day and all that, like all these weird rules that are visually you can't tell any of it. It's just all based on like what you think you've read and learned about.
Yep. All right. Next question coming up here.
Which is why memorabilia is so lame, because you're just telling me a story, whereas cards, I look at it and I say, this is awesome.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Although there was this one armband that caught my eye.
If I snuck into your house, swapped that red armband for a different one, you wouldn't know for the rest of your life.
No, I would be able to smell the absence of the.
No, see, I thought this through, and before I gave it to you, a little rubbing, a little here, a little there, threw it in the dirt a little bit.
Yeah.
I ran a mile while wearing it, so I can get like the organic scent on there. Like, it's not fake. I ran a mile in this thing. It's fine.
Damn it! All right, you got me.
In my garage, and it's 110 right now. This thing, I was sweating all over this thing.
Remember, I once ran a story post asking people if a game used armband or the NFT Pet Rock was more aesthetically pleasing, and I think the Rock won. The Rock should have won. The Rock definitely should have won. All right.
And little do they know, by participating in that, you were just trolling everybody, and there's no winner.
We were all losers on that one.
Are you able to track the value of those pet rocks?
I don't know. Maybe there's a coin gecko for the
That's the only site we know is going back up.
That's what else do we need?
Oh,
Oh no, just a rock. Is this it? No,
This
no.
this says like 5 cents. Wasn't it called ETH Rock or something?
Yeah. Yes.
Ether Rock. Here we go.
I searched pet rock. That's what I did wrong.
That's mean. Come on. Yeah, this one says Ether Rock. The floor price is $1,200, down 38% over the last what? Oh my God. Here, look at this. Is this bad? I can't read graphs.
Can I see the picture of it? Does it have a little like profile picture of it?
Sorry, I'm on an iPhone.
That's the rock.
I mean, maybe. I think this is it.
Yeah. And what was it once going for?
I don't know, dude. Okay, it was 32 grand in February of 2024. Now it's 1,200.
Oof. So I'm reading this article about the pet rock, and
Stop calling it a pet rock. It's an ether rock.
and there's a quote from Campbell Harvey, a finance professor at Duke University. He says, "As prices rise, investors on the sidelines think that they need to get in. Many will violate the number one rule of investment: understand what you are investing in." Damn.
He should have said some awesome line about like, "This ain't your parents' pet rock." That would have been awesome, but he blew it.
He did have a number 2 rule as well.
This ain't your dad's pet rock. These are NFT rocks.
Didn't somebody once turn something from this show into an NFT?
I don't doubt it.
Wasn't it like a drawing?
Yeah.
I don't even like. I still. Oh my God, dude! Just look at this. I just.
Well, you have a dick butt pulled up?
How is this real?
Dude, those were the ETH rocks.
This is it, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Wasn't it? What's your favorite shade of gray? This is.
Wait,
this
that
is
one
like,
right there. You see the 4th column, 18th one down? That's mine.
This is like picking out the granite for your kitchen. Like, which rock color do you like most? Do you remember when that thing sold for like $1 million and we were all just like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I wish we could, man, as much as I miss the boom of sports cards, I almost miss this more, just knowing that this is gonna just just get absolutely wrecked. Just being in that moment, knowing we were gonna be right was fun.
I mean, yeah, that was a layup for sure.
Ben Simmons, that's a good question.
Is there still a $3,000 Ben Simmons?
Dude, watch this. Dude, Card Ladder can solve this problem. Min price 3,000. Ben Simmons, date sold. When do you think the last sale of a $3,000 card of Ben Simmons was?
2019. 18. 2020? I don't know.
This year.
What?
There's a penny 20 here. Whatever this card is. 101.
Oh, the On the Horizon. Okay.
And then in 2023, this Logo Man sold for $3 grand.
Wow. Eddie just said he sold one today.
There you go. Well, he was setting us up.
Oh man, you got us.
Do you remember that article about that, like metal Ben Simmons 101 gold card, where that guy was like trying to sell it for $1 million? Remember that?
Yep, I sure did. That was back in like 2017-ish. I remember that. All right, so honestly, I didn't get to like 20 questions.
Which is weird because no, we only have 40. I mean, what the heck?
I know. No, people have definitely time shifted this. You know that when the VCR was invented in the 80s and like Betamax and stuff, like time shifting was like an existential crisis to live television because like people could just record TV shows on their VCR and skip through the commercials, and like there was real concern it was going to kill the television industry. Yeah, it's like there's famous copyright law cases on this that like you read in all these different courses.
That's hilarious. Well, I did just watch Interstellar this week, so that sounds familiar. Time crises, changing time. Gravity is actually the way to do it.
They didn't think about that back then. All right, let's pick a title. Here are the options. No bad feelings. Christine, are you listening as well?
Yeah.
She's looking at Zillow.
We lost her. We're not talking about Amex
we
anymore.
Lost her. Yep. All right.
We started talking about pet rocks and I didn't give a fuck.
What if we go back to credit card fees?
I will get very upset, actually. I hate credit card fees. I think that we should be a cash society. Because, no, think about it, okay? You have $50, you're at a card show, you have $50 in cash. You give it to someone, that's $50 to $50 when they go to spend it. You have a credit card and you spend $50, the credit card company takes at least 3% every time there's a transaction. So that $50 becomes less and less and less to the person that gets it in their pocket. Credit cards are a scam, man. Like, I don't care how many rewards you have. We should be a cash society.
All right. Next title suggestion. The National Zag.
Did I just ruin
No,
it?
it's good. That was good.
Okay.
Next up, Pre-Annoyed.
I feel like you need a title about how like the audio is better or something, because people are gonna like see this and they'll see the title that the audio is better and they'll be like, you know what, it is better.
Should sneak that in somehow. You are not understanding cards.
I don't know. We might get a better title regardless.
People may think we're condescending pricks. All right. Let's not high horse here.
I remember that one.
Memorabilia photo matching extravaganza.
Because I just picture them like sitting down and like spending a whole day. Like, if I'm gonna photo match this, it's gotta be a whole deal. I gotta get the red circle.
They've all got their
out.
red Sharpies up.
Yeah. No, you need like the Photoshop, where you like take the red circle and you stretch it out. Like, it's gotta be a perfect circle.
Like a LAN party, basically, but just everybody brings their memorabilia in there.
Yeah, and like you get this quadrant of the picture, I'll take this quadrant. Like, what?
That could work, actually. Second, third, and fourth hand. That's a feature, not a bug.
Nice.
Star guys better be worried. The star guys are fucking panicking right now. All right. You guys aren't selling caviar on that website.
Dude, we say all these in the moment and we just move on. We don't even like respond or stop. And now when we read them back to back, they are much more humorous.
They're crazy. We reject inflation. There's been a lot of good ones today. The marketplace arms race. And the last one is lost $1 million that day.
Oh, and you dropped your cards. I remember you telling me that story. Like, this picture of you like, no.
Yeah. It's like a bunch of Trae Young and Michael Porter Jr.'s.
Someone, when I posted that Trae Young's year-to-date sales were like 3 million, one of the responses they got was like, how is it still that high?
Dude, that's what I thought too. I couldn't believe that. It's crazy. All right, what do what are you leaning towards? I would love memorabilia photo matching extravaganza, but it's just it's too far off.
If you had to type all that, you'd be exhausted.
And then like I would love to see what Nick comes up with for the thumbnail for that one.
You just put red circles all over us. What's the caviar one?
You guys aren't selling caviar on that website. What even context was that in? Was that like was on Amex?
Amex was saying it eBay.
Okay.
Amex on their high. I like the high horse one too. Say that one again.
Let's not high horse here.
It's not a complete sentence, but I like it.
There's just so many good ones.
You pick your favorite.
Me pick my favorite? My favorite is definitely memorabilia photo match extravaganza. I just can't. We can't do that title. It's just then I'll be concerned about our viewership because I'll get 10 because nobody's gonna want to listen to that. Star Guys. I mean, a lot of these are funny, but like.
And someone in the comments said hot dogs at Costco should win. That is a pretty good one.
That is a really good one. What was the original?
Yeah, man said that like card ladders like the Costco hot dogs of the hobby.
Yeah, I'm just trying to actually scroll up and find that right now. Damn, I should have wrote that down at the time.
I can find it. It was pretty early on.
Yeah, it was. Reliving some of these comments is fun.
It's a bunch of like comments about the iPhone for the first 45 minutes.
The Costco hot dog of the hobby.
The Costco hot dog of the hobby.
That's pretty good because we haven't given a title from the audience in a while.
Yeah, that's great. Mohammed,
what are you saying exactly? Costco hot dog of the hobby.
The Costco hot dog of the hobby.
Perfect. Yeah, I was hoping you didn't say like you guys or card ladder. It's funnier to just say you guys or the Costco.
He said you guys are.
Yeah, but I just like the Costco hot dog of the hobby.
Agreed.
All right.
I think yeah man would approve of you how you changed it.
I think he would as well. We'll be very happy to see this stuff. All right. See you guys next week.
Maybe.
CY Card Ladder is the most respected sports card analytics app on the market. We have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history. Easily find recent comps and get a better estimate what your cards are worth. CY Card Ladder is the most trusted and the most reliable sports card analytics app on the market. We know what you want because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder, constantly innovating. Try it for free. CY Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. Card Ladder. We're just getting started.